Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to my shop. In a recent video I talked about what are all the different types of saws in the shop and why this is not a handsaw. Today I want to take a look at what can all of these saws do and which ones do you need and what exactly do you do with a saw that's not a handsaw. In this video, I'm going to be talking with a bunch of terms and classifications of what saws are. So if you want to see more on that, go to the video that came out last week where I talked about what are all the different types of saws. And that will give you a lot better clearance about what's the difference between a carcass saw and a sash saw. As well as if you want to actually talk about the teeth geometry, I've got several other videos on that telling the difference between what is a rip saw and what is a crosscut saw, how do you sharpen each one. I'll try and leave links to those down below. There's a lot more detail on that, but today I just want to actually look at what are all of these saws used for, and specifically the joints that they work well on and ones that they don't work well on. Which ones do you need and which ones don't you need? There are three parameters that go into your general choice of saw. Number one is the size of teeth. The more teeth there are on the saw, the slower it's going to cut. But generally, you're going to get a cleaner cut with smaller teeth. Big honking teeth will cut really fast and you'll march through that board. But you're probably not going to get a finished cut off of one of these. You need a little bit more detail than that. After tooth size, you have tooth geometry. Are you going to need a cross cut? Or you're going to need a rip cut. Rip cutting is for cutting along the board. If you imagine grabbing this board and ripping it, you would rip it down the grains. Rip cutting is ripping down the grains. Cross cutting is cutting across the grains. And so if I have a cross-cut tooth, it cuts across. The third aspect that comes to it is how does the steel receive its strength? Is it a frame saw that holds it together? This does really good work, but there's a lot of other meat out here. This can be hard to control because there's a lot of mass to it. Is it a back saw that gets its strength from the back, keeping the plate stiff, allowing you to put the force into it, but then you're limited by how far down you can cut? Is it a panel saw that gets its strength from just having a thicker panel that can withstand the force of being pushed to the board? Or in the case of Japanese saws, does it get its strength because you're only using it on the pull stroke? So because it's a thinner plate, you can keep it in tension by pulling it. Between those three variables, you can pick your saw. So now we need to look at the wood and what we're going to be doing to the wood. If I'm cutting a tenon and I want to cut the shoulder of it, I'm going to be cutting across the wood. So I need a saw with cross cut. I want to have a really nice clean cut. So I need smaller teeth, a little more detailed for this. And it's not that big of a cut, so I don't need it to be very fast. Small teeth. I'm going to need more detail means a lighter saw. I'm probably not going to want to use a frame saw. A carcass saw for this because it's a good balance between weight, small teeth, and crosscut. It will make that cut. On this one, if I want to cut the cheek of the tenon, I'm going to be rip cutting. I'm going to be cutting down along the board. It's going to be a deeper cut, so I'm going to need something that has a deeper throat on it. I want something that's fairly clean. I'm still doing a finished joinery. I can't use my carcass saw here because it can't reach all the way down. It hits the back. So for that, I'm grabbing a tenon saw because a tenon saw can go all the way down to that cut and still reach what it needs. And on top of that, it's a rip cut tooth, a little bit larger tooth. These are around 10 ppi. So I'm going to get a slightly rougher cut, but for rip cutting, that's about all I need. Let's move up in size. I want to just cut this to length. Now I could do that with a tenon saw, but the tenon saw has a little bit finer teeth and it's going to take a little bit longer, but it can do it. Something pine like this, I'm probably just going to grab the tenon saw because it's quick and easy and I can get to it. If this were something much harder like maple, I might think, I don't want to do that. If I used a miter box, I'd probably would grab a miter box saw, but I don't use a miter box because that's just more work, it's more setup. In this case, I might grab a sash saw. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit larger teeth, and it will allow me to march through that board and cross cut rather quickly. The other saw I might grab to do this is a panel saw. This particular one has an 8 ppi cross cut tooth. Still about mid-range tooth, but it's about mid-range board. It's going to be cross-cutting. It's got a cross-cut tooth, and it doesn't have a back, so if I'm cutting something a little larger, I can still cut its full thickness. Now, if I were upping the board to something like this, and I want to rip cut it, rip cutting. Well, then that takes us back to the tenon saw, right? Well, I could theoretically rip saw with the tenon saw, but the back would get in the way. And these small teeth, these are 10 ppi teeth. It would take forever to rip through something that thick with this. And in that case, I'm going to grab my handsaw. This is a 5 ppi rip cut tooth, larger tooth for a larger board. Also, it doesn't have a back, so I can go across the board and still rip down it. I'm not cross-cutting because the cross can be going across it. I'm still ripping with it, but I'm going through the board, down along it. Big teeth, faster cut. It's not going to get me quite as clean, so I'm going to have to clean that up afterwards. But a handsaw would do this very quickly and efficiently. Now let's break it down one step farther. Imagine this board were 10 foot long and I needed to cut it into 2-foot chunks, chunka, chunka, chunka. Now I could come in with my panel saw, which is a crosscut tooth, but it's an 8 ppi. They're slightly small teeth. It would take a while to rip cut through, what is that, 5 by 1.5 inches of white oak. Completely doable, but it would take a while to make all those cuts. In that case, I might pull out something like this. This is a buck saw. This has 5 ppi crosscut teeth, huge cross-cutting teeth. This will rip through it really quickly. And so I could use this to rough cut it down. Now the problem with that is I'm going to be left with a very rough surface. I'm going to want to say I stay away from what I need, and I can come back in and clean it up with a plane later. But for really quick work and doing a lot of it, a big buck saw can answer that. Then let's go one step farther. This is white oak. It is 8 inches by 6 inches. It is a beam out of a barn. This is a lot of wood. And there's no way I'm going to get a really clean cut off of this no matter what I do, because I need to cut through it. If I'm going to be cutting with small teeth, this is going to take forever. So I'm going to use the largest teeth I have. If I need to resaw this and cut it down vertically with the grain, I will probably grab a handsaw if it's not that deep, because the 5 ppi on this will do decently good work on it. Though with the one arm movement, this is going to tire me out pretty quickly. In this case, I might actually grab my frame saw, which has 4 ppi, even bigger rip teeth, and this will allow me to cut down through it very quickly, and I can use my whole body and my body weight to make the move and actually cut down through this efficiently. Now, if I needed to cross cut this, I could use my buck saw. 4 ppi, it would do that. And this would actually be pretty close to what this is designed to do. It's designed to cut logs to length. And I would probably grab that if I were in the shop. But if I were outside, and if this were any bigger, I probably would grab my one-man crosscut saw that's designed for chopping trees down, because I could use that to slice through this. It has like a half a tooth per inch. Really, really aggressive cut, but it would chop through this in no time at all. Now we've got something a little bit different. Small, sexy dovetails. I want to cut down the surface here. Well, in that case, I need something small. It doesn't have to be a very big saw. I want to get a really clean cut on this. I want it to be gluable right off the surface. I need it to rip cut because I'm going to be ripping down the face. Well, that's going to mean a dovetail saw. Rip teeth, small distance, really controllable, tiny, tiny teeth with very little set. I'm going to get a really nice clean surface on there. Now, once you get down to small teeth like this, rip cut versus cross cut kind of blur. And so a lot of times with dovetails, if I need to do the shoulder, I'm still going to use this. Even though I'd be cross cutting with a rip cut tooth, it's perfectly fine for that. Though occasionally I will grab my carcass saw to come in and make that cut. There are lots of little boards, from the tiny little joinery cuts all the way to the big beefy honking things. And I haven't even gotten into turning saws for making curved cuts. There are lots of different saws for lots of different uses. So which ones do you actually need? What's the most used, what's the least used, and at what order should you buy them? Let's start off with the most used saw in my shop. This is a carcass saw. It's a little over a foot long. It's about 2.5 inches high. It's got a back to keep it stiff. I use this more than any other saw. This probably does 85 to 90% of all the cutting I do is on this saw. Now, a lot of people might say that a sash saw is the better all-around saw, and I can see completely reasons for that. Shannon Rogers from the Hand Tool School, this is his favorite saw. It's one of those that it's basically the exact same thing as the carcass saw, just a little bigger. It's also cross-cut teeth, and it will do larger work, though some of the things that it does, it's a little overkill for. But if you've got overkill, then go ahead and use it. It's great for doing that final cut to get this exactly the right edge, and you can get a finish-ready cut right off of this if the saw is set up well. Also, when doing tenons, the carcass saw can do the shoulders, so I can go all the way around on the shoulder because I'm going across the saw. This actually works really, really well for that. If my tenons were a little bit shorter, I could actually use this to cut the cheeks as well. It's not quite as good for that because this is a cross-cut tooth and you'd be doing a ripping cut. However, I would rather rip cut with a cross-cut saw than I would cross-cut with a rip cut saw, And that's kind of why this is my all-around saw. If you're going to get a saw first, get a carcass saw or get a sash saw. One little confusing point, if you get one from Veritas, Veritas sells them with a cross-cut tooth like they should, as well as a rip-cut saw, which really confuses me why they would have a rip-cut carcass saw. If they're going to have a rip cut, make it a small tenon saw. But just semantics. So just understand, if you go get one from Veritas, understand you're going to have to choose rip cut or cross cut. For second most used saw, it's a close call. This is a tenon saw. A tenon saw is the second half of the joinery. If you do all of your cross cutting with your carcass saw, then you do all of your rip cutting with a tenon saw. This is a tenon saw because it cuts the cheeks of the tenons. And so if you have a carcass saw and a tenon saw, you can do all of your joinery. The only downside to this is it's a little bit bigger. There's a little larger teeth. So if you're trying to do detailed things like dovetails, you're not going to get quite as clean a cut off this, but it's really, really close. And if you're going to be cleaning stuff up with chisels, then it really doesn't matter if this gives you a really clean cut as well. You can still do dovetails with a tenon saw. Really close, I can't quite choose if it's the tenon saw or the handsaw. A big, beefy handsaw, 26 inches or more, with a 4 or 5 PPI and a rip cut. This is an amazing saw. A big, beefy saw like this allows you to rip a board very, very quickly. I can rip down stock very, very quickly, very, very accurately, and get the exact width board I need. A really good handsaw is incredibly efficient. It will do the most amount of work in the shortest amount of time. It is just a really, really fun saw if this is set up well. It can be a little difficult to start, but it can be a very functional saw. And you don't have to get a big Roubo saw to do your resawing work. You can do 99.9% of all your resaw with this. And a lot of times I'll actually opt to go with this over my Roubo style frame saw, just because this is faster and more efficient to just grab and go. I don't have all the setup work on that. This really does a lot of work. It's probably the second most used saw in my shop, though maybe the tenon saw. Next is probably a panel saw with 8 points or 10 points, something around 24 to 22 inches. This is a great all-around saw that allows you to do really, really close to fine joinery. I could almost get my finished cuts off of this. It's a little longer, a little more awkward, but if you're working with bigger stock, this is an amazing saw to have. If you're cutting off the end of a bench top, something like this. If you're working with stock that's 4 inches or larger, this is the saw you want to be doing a lot of cross-cut work with. You don't do it a lot, but when you do, having a good panel saw with a good cross-cut set is very, very useful for a lot of that mid-range to large stock cut-down cross-cutting. Then last, but not least, is the dovetail saw. This has a rip cut tooth because it's intended to rip cut. And when it rip cuts, you want to get a nice clean cut. Some people will create with a hybrid with like 10 degrees of fleam on there and make it ever so slightly a cross cut. I prefer to have them just a straight rip cut. I find that to be the cleanest cut for what I do. So for small detailed joinery, a dovetail saw is what you're going to want for that. Honestly, you don't do a lot of dovetail work. It does come around, and it is one of those things that people really talk about because they're dovetails. But in the big scheme of things, you don't do a lot of dovetails, and there's lots of other saws that can do a dovetail saw work. So don't run out and get a dovetail saw as your first one. This is one of the later ones you should be getting. After that, every other saw in the shop is a specialty saw. This is for resawing. I don't use it for anything else. This is for really large breakdown of cross-cutting. I don't use it for anything else. This is for a miter saw. I don't use a miter saw. They're kind of a worthless tool in my book. But if you have a miter saw, you're only going to use this when you use a miter saw. But of course, if you're one of the people who has a miter saw, you probably use the miter saw quite a bit. You may notice I've got a bunch of other panel saws and hand saws. I really don't use them that much. I have one big handsaw with a 5 PPI rip cut tooth. I have one panel saw with an 8 PPI cross cut tooth. And those are the two that I use. If I were to be doing a lot of tenon work, I might get a shorter panel saw with rip cut teeth for doing large tenon cutting. Maybe a halfback for that situation. But the rest of these are mostly there for show or when I need to pull something out to show something specific. You really only need 2 of those. Now I know I haven't covered all the uses. There are lots of other saws out there. There's Japanese saws and their function. There's gent saws, there's turning saws, there's coping saws. oh my, they go lots and lots. And then we haven't gotten to the big things like how do you cut down a tree? And then on top of that, we get into how do you sharpen saws? What are the different types of saws? What are all of the names and what are the classifications of it? I've got other videos on those topics, links to those down below. And I'm sure there's lots of other questions that I haven't even touched on. Throw those in the comments. I do read through and answer as many questions as I can get to. So hop down there and fill those out. That does actually help out the channel, so thank you for that. And on top of all that, after leaving a comment, hit the like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Those really do help out. They get us in front of more people on YouTube and they help this channel grow. So thank you. That means a lot. If you want to take it even one step farther than that, there are the patrons on Patreon. Everyone over here on the side who's scrolling by. They are quite literally the ones keeping the lights on and keeping us going. Without patrons or members who've clicked the little join button, we wouldn't exist. We are completely supported by you, the viewers. So thank you for that. If you'd like to find out more about Patreon or becoming a member, you can find out links down below or click the little join button and become a member here on YouTube. On top of that, we also have perks for members and Patreon, little special things we do in behind the scenes videos from time to time. So if you want to see that, you know what to do. I think that'll do it for now. And until next time, have a wonderful day. This is one seriously large honkin' board. I mean, just listen to it. Honk.